Welcome back to our Boozy Water channel. I wanted to go over our kind of latest version of antimicrobial program. We recently did a video on the Clean 24, which is part of it. And I just want to get across a simple principle. Pathogens, once they become opportunistic in your body, keep going 24/7. Once they're in, they don't want to leave, and they have a 24/7 agenda. So if you're going to get rid of a pathogen that's lodged in your body, whether it be Lyme disease or cancer or anything like that, you need a 24/7 strategy. You cannot just do something once, for an hour or two. Even with the rife protocols that people swear by, very few people succeed. And this is supposed to be kind of like a zapper on a pathogen, just knock it out if you could identify it. So one core issue is, first of all, these microorganisms that are housing in your body, they find a friendly terrain in the body to live. So there's general toxicity. You have to ask yourself, what do they need? What are they feeding on to stay in your body? So your therapies need to go after that terrain, change the terrain, and in such a way that they literally have nothing to nest on, that they're going to leave. But changing the toxic terrain of a body is, needs some understanding. But the simple principle is you need to be at it 24/7 because they're at it 24/7. So I just want to lay out some of the core tools that we advocate. One is ozone therapy. I call that the left hook. It's a strong hit on the body from microbials. The right hook is what we call the mission coil. We have a powerful system that's much more powerful than the ordinary mission coil. And it's going to be coming in, by the way, finally. We've had difficulties getting it from overseas. And that's very strong. You can do that for hours. And it's also a very strong, what's called electrostatic field. Electrostatic fields are very inhibiting on microbes. So if you use that system, and by the way, you have to be careful because it can get really too much. We call that the right hook because it has that power hit just like the ozone. But you can now go for hours a day if need be. The final piece in this protocol is something called the final piece in the protocol is called the Clean 24. This is like what we call the jab. You can do it literally 24/7. And so you need to come in, bam, bam, strong power shots, but you need sustained time field therapy for the rest of the day. So you keep going with the jabbing all day long, and then you come in with the left hook, the right hook. And this is very much like boxing. And if you're really sick, it might take 20 rounds. If you're not so sick, maybe 5 rounds. If you're really lucky, you do one shot of ozone, boom, you win the match. But it depends on the stage you're at and then how toxic you're at. So this leads to the next point, 24/7. If your colon integrity is imbalanced, you have no good gut immunity, you need to get that back because that is a 24/7 environment. It's like having a septic tank that works and you're pooping and the septic tank mulches all the crap, or a septic tank that doesn't work. There's no maybe work. So the colon is the same way. If you're not mulching all the garbage coming into your body at the gut immunity level, like a septic tank, you're going to have a festering environment. So that is critical. Now, the medical ozone, when you do a rectal insufflation, helps tremendously with sort of blasting and cleaning out that environment. But you need if you don't have a good probiotic environment, good gut flora, you need to get that back. That is the 24/7 worker bees. This is the gut flora. So this is an area unto itself. I've studied this for many, many years, and it's not easy if you're compromised to get it back. And many people will take probiotics, they'll do perfect dieting. Even if you're compromised and you do juicing and you do all kinds of colon cleanse programs, the problem still is you probably are not going to be able to grow a good, healthy flora environment because you never had it. It's kind of like people who low thyroid for too long. You're not going to get it back. You need to take thyroid hormones. So gut immunity, very similar to the thyroid. It's either something you're blessed with or not, and then you have to augment skillfully, if you don't have a good gut immunity, with key probiotics. Now, our website has this whole program. On the store, we have this entire program, and what we recommend are two very high-end soil bacteria products. One is called Venom, which was designed by the Russians for biowarfare. So it's extremely powerful, meant to combat heavy duty pathogens. The other one is called Microbiome Restore, which has additional very strong strains of soil bacteria plus a wide range. It's sort of a broad spectrum probiotic. We find that this together creates a very vigilant probiotic regimen that can go in, even with very toxic environment, establish a colony, and essentially maintain a colony if you persist. Now, the one caveat with soil bacteria products is if you stop taking them, the colonies die. They don't grow in you naturally. They are a natural process that was intended by nature. When you picked a carrot out of the ground, brushed it off and ate it, and if you lived in really great soil terrain, you would get incredible soil bacteria in your colon. So this is if you ate naturally and didn't disinfect the carrot. So if anybody's questions, well, it doesn't grow in you, if you were living in this natural environment, you would be infusing great soil bacteria. Now, if you do this consistently, I had an incident where I had massive dental surgery and I took antibiotics. And I thought it'd take me months to get back. It took me 3 weeks doing these soil bacteria regimen plus the ozone. And the other thing is, anybody who does ozone, these soil bacteria strains are so stout that you're not going to compromise them much doing the ozone therapy. In other words, they can survive ozone treatments. Okay, so if you're coming in and essentially doing this 24/7 skillful field therapy to knock out the pathogens and then bring in the 24/7 probiotics to be vigilant all the time, this gives you a really good chance of success. Now, if you transform the colon terrain, then you're going to transform the whole pathogenic terrain of the body. Now, there are secondary areas of nesting like the sinuses, so you can do sinus insufflation ozone, which will knock out pathogens in the sinus and go through the ears, get to the brain. And basically, once you hit the major nest, which is the colon, and then secondarily the sinus, and you establish the good flora, you should sustain a pretty clean environment. If you get an infection, it should be short term. And this program will work on all viruses, bacteria, fungal. Most of the problem lies in people who have had 20, 30 years of buildup, and these things are lifers in your body, so to speak, and you don't have a strategy to get them out. So it's real important. You can contact us if you're still not quite getting it. This is, without the skillful synergy, this is not going to succeed. You can't, as I say, rife therapy, I believe in it, but if you have a toxic swamp and you're just shooting a gun at the swamp to knock out a pathogen, it's not going to work because the swamp's going to still be a swamp. So you must transmute the swamp. Now, if you have a mountain stream, you don't need to worry about getting rid of pathogens. It's a self-cleaning environment. Because the body is a closed system and works kind of differently, like I said, the colon is more like a septic tank. So you have to understand the system you're in and then do the proper therapies. Now, there's one last piece in this puzzle, and this is called Brown's gas therapy. We have a whole playlist on it. And when you do ozone therapy, it's very harsh in some ways. It creates what's called oxidative stress. And it's like lighting a match to a dry forest. So it's a very fiery therapy, and people can get aggravated from it. Hydrogen therapy is the balancer. It's also very, very deep microcellular therapy. So it'll help the body heal and organize, has a healing intelligence about it. So when anybody's going to do ozone therapy, should be doing hydrogen therapy, because essentially I call it dampening the burn. And the analogy I use is if you had a forest and you were put a match on a super dry forest, it would just go into a big firestorm. If you had a rain all night long and you lit a match, it would dampen the burn. And that's what hydrogen does for ozone. So you can do more ozone with way less aggravation, is the bottom line. In addition, the hydrogen itself is a very profound anti-inflammatory, supportive therapy for the whole body, great for balancing out ozone therapy, and even the mission coil system is quite fiery. A lot of, fire kills, fire burns. So you need to balance fire with cooling and water. Inflammation, they say, is one of the biggest things that kills people. So one of the reasons inflammation is so strong in most of us is because we don't successfully get rid of the toxins. We don't have a high metabolic rate, and the toxins fester, and then we get compromised burn. If we had a full, complete burn of all our toxins, then we would have literally less inflammation. But in general, the fire element needs to be balanced, and hydrogen is the great balancer of the fire element. Another one is cryotherapy, by the way, highly recommended. Another great fire therapy, by the way, that I do is infrared sauna therapy, because it burns, it helps, it's like a false fever, it helps get rid of a lot of toxins. Alrighty, so if you can really, really appreciate the key points, pathogens are in there 24/7, they fester on a toxic terrain, you need to have a skillful 24/7 protocol, you must transform the gut terrain and have it back in a vital septic tank form. You need to assess the rest of the body and go after microbials that have housed in your body a long time, maintain the gut flora, and use these protocols, these antimicrobial protocols as needed. You're going to be doing a lot up front if you've been toxic a long time. But if you do all these things together, you can get over 25-year history. Also, if you have a lot of autoimmune inflammatory sidebar issues, you can resolve them. Autoimmune is usually the result of the fallout of toxic terrain, and the gut immunity fails, and the secondary immune system is just overworking. And so you have a lot of what's called autoimmune inflammation. It's an exhausted immune system, essentially. All right, if you have any questions, please contact me, Andrew at blueseawater.com. Thank you.